Hello you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today, and for those who are new, welcome to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be listing 15 different facts about Ethiopia that you may or may not have known. These are just facts that I've kind of made mental notes of, or just like written down throughout the years of just like going back and forth to Ethiopia and just recognizing the differences between Canada and, or just like in North America in general, and Ethiopia. There's so many differences. It's pretty interesting, so I really suggest you keep on watching. Especially as a foreigner who like has never even been to Ethiopia, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some new things that you'll be learning in this video. And just to let you guys know in advance that this is not meant to be like so informational and like giving you guys a good understanding of why these are facts. I'm just stating them, and I'll do my best to explain like the background or just give you guys a brief understanding of why they are facts. It's genuinely just things that I find interesting, things that I've noticed that are different from like North America. I personally know more facts than just 15, but for the sake of making this video not like too lengthy, I decided to cut it down to 15, you know what I'm saying? Really loving this top. Shout out to Faith and my sister. I grabbed this from her closet. I love it so much. What is it? So I have everything down on my phone, and let's get started. Okay, so one of the major things that I noticed in Ethiopia is that their timing system, or whatever it's called, is different. And it's not, I'm not talking about time zone. I'm talking about the way that they calculate time. You know how us, it's like the day starts at midnight and then goes to like 11:59, whatever. That's our day. That's how it works. That's just what we're used to. You know what I'm saying? Let me just read off what I found here to give you guys a better understanding of what I'm talking about. It's pretty interesting. It's very confusing. I never understood it, but this is what it says right here on Wikipedia. Not the best source, but it is what it is. Okay, unlike the convention in most countries, the start of the day is dawn rather than midnight. Thus, 7 a.m. in East Africa time corresponds to 1 in daylight hours in local Ethiopian time. 12, which is noon, is 6 o'clock in daylight hours, and 6 p.m. is 12 in local time. I don't know why they do that, and I'm just discovering that this is not only in Ethiopia but in East Africa. I just remember being with my aunt in her home, and she said that it was like 6 o'clock or something, and I checked on my phone. It was completely different, and I had already switched it and converted the time to like their time zone, and I was like, what are you talking about? It's not that time. And she's like, oh no. And I was like, what? How? And she explained to me, she's like, oh yeah, we do like a different time thing. And I was like, oh, why? That's so confusing. The second thing that you may not have known, if you're not Ethiopian obviously, is that our last names are our father's first names. Personally, I don't have that. I wish it was, because my dad's name is pretty cool. My family wasn't able to follow that because of the Quebec rules or whatever. My last name is my dad's last name, which is common here in Canada. But most of the Habeshas or Ethiopians that I know in Ottawa, their last names is their dad's first name. Yeah, in Ethiopia, your last name is typically your, or not just typically, just in general, that's what it is. Your last name is your dad's first name. Interesting, right? Yeah. So the next thing that I want to explain is 13 months of sunshine. I know that you may have heard about this if you are Ethiopian. If you're not, or you're just like not familiar with the saying 13 months of sunshine, it actually has a meaning, and let me explain it to you. I pulled out this source right here. So it says the Ethiopian calendar has 13 months, 12 months of 30 days, and a short month of 5 or 6 days, depending whether it's a leap year. Ethiopian New Year is on September 11th, except in leap years, when it is on September 12th. It is on the first of the Ethiopian month of Meskerem. It was like an extra short month. I don't know why. Ethiopia is just, they do their own thing, you know? I don't get it. And like I said, this is not meant to be like a really informational video, because I don't know, like I just can't sit here and be like, this is why, this is that. I did not do like extensive research on this. I'm really just sharing the facts that I find really interesting about Ethiopia. And yeah, if you want to, you know, look into it further and really understand it, you can always just check out some books or search about it more online. The next fact is that typically when you're about to greet someone, you kiss them 3 times instead of 2. In Canada, or just like generally, I feel like it's 2, like kiss, kiss. But in Ethiopia, it's 3 times. And when I was younger, that was just something that I was always used to. As I've grown older and, you know, greeted people here, I was just so confused. And like the 3rd kiss, I would be left hanging. I'm like, oh, true, you're not Ethiopian. But honestly, nowadays, Ethiopians do 4 or 5, whatever, whichever amount of kisses they want. It's confusing. I don't get it. But if you go to Ethiopia, just be ready to give that third kiss, you know. Okay, the next fact is that it's common for people to have a seratenya and a guard dog in Ethiopia. Seratenya just means like a housekeeper. You don't even need to be like extremely rich or anything like that. It's just like a common thing to have somebody helping you out with cooking, cleaning up things, and sometimes there's even a second one who will drive you around too. It sounds so luxurious for people who live in like North America or anywhere else in the world. It sounds just so like, wow, you live in the life, but really it's just like so common over there. And yeah, they pretty much have help for everything. As for the dog, it's very common to have a guard one that will be on a leash in front. It's very scary. I've seen some really like scary dogs, and it's so funny because like they're so nice to the homeowner. You'll see them being so sweet and calm with the house owner, but as soon as I come in or anybody else who's not from that home, it's like they turn into this atrocious monster. It's the scariest thing, but yeah, I guess it's necessary in Ethiopia just to like protect them. If ever you go to Ethiopia and you walk into a home, you see a cute little puppy, don't be fooled, don't be fooled. The next thing I want to talk about are the common jobs or, you know, career paths to take in Ethiopia.
Engineer, lawyer, doctor.
If you don't do any of those, then you're messing up your life. I mean, I feel like that's the case in many cultures, but in Ethiopia it's kind of funny. I just want to share like a little story. When I went there last, which was like 2 years ago, I believe, I remember I hadn't seen my family in so long, like family and neighbors, friends, whatever. And they were just like, so now you're in university, what are you studying, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to share my like major with you guys until I graduate. But for now, I can just tell you guys that in general, I'm in business. I'm studying business, okay? So I was just like, I'm in business, and they're just like, every single one of them kind of, their smile went from to.
Oh, okay. Oh, indeed, like, what kind of business? And I was just
like business, and then I would explain my major, and they're like,
ah, okay. It's not bad. It's not bad.
I'm like, I know it's not bad. It's actually really good, but if you're not pursuing engineering or lawyer, doctor, apparently you're just wasting your life. Another fact that I want to share with you guys is that religion is like engraved in the Ethiopian culture. It's a part of the things people eat and don't eat, the attire, the like traditional attire, the language too. It's just everywhere, and I've noticed that Orthodox religion, it's like everywhere. Even though you are not Orthodox, it's part of like the traditional clothes that we wear. Even the jewelry. This jewelry that I'm wearing right now, this is called a mescal, and this is, oops, let me show you guys. So this is a mescal right here. I always wear it. It's just, I really love it. It reminds me of Ethiopia, and I just love the design of it. This is the Orthodox cross, and honestly, this doesn't look like a cross to me. It just reminds me of Ethiopia, but it is a cross. So people do wear this kind of necklace for like religious reasons, but for those who do wear it for that reason, it's mostly like bigger ones, and like they kiss it and like do the whole whatever. I don't really know, like up, down, left, right. I don't know. I'm not Orthodox, but anyway, even though it's like engraved in the culture, you don't necessarily have to be Orthodox to wear the clothes or to, you know what I mean? It's just part of it. It's just always been, and that's just the way it is. And for the language, certain things that you'll say, like, I noticed that since I was raised in like a NA household, whatever, I hate like distinguishing myself as like NA. I'm just Christian, follower of Christ. If I say Jesus Christ, if you're Orthodox, I noticed that they don't say that, and I didn't know that before. It's kind of interesting. Like I would say Be Jesusim or Be Jesus Christosim, which means like in Jesus' name, like when you're scared or when like, it's not really using God's name in vain. It's mostly being like using his name when you're like terrified and kind of to like protect you. I don't think about all of that. I just say it because it's something that naturally comes out. But like, let's say Orthodox people will say like the Mariam, like Mary. I don't know. Okay, so the next fact is pretty interesting. The idea that like every gesture that you do in a conversation means something. Without even using your words, it means something deeper than what it looks like, and Ethiopians just get it. It's really interesting. Like I'll have a conversation with somebody, with my aunt, and like I'm just listening, paying attention to what he's saying, and then at the end of the conversation, my aunt is like, did you hear what he said? He said this and that. And I was just like, wait, when did he say that? She's like, the way that he was looking, the position that he was in, the way he shook your hand. And I was like, what? Like I was looking at the same thing that she was, but I didn't get it. And I used to think that people just exaggerated everything and they just liked gossiping or whatever, but it's true. They just communicate with their body. for the most part. Unless you're like raised in that culture, you won't get it or you won't catch on to it. This is another fact about Ethiopia. If you did not know, Ethiopia is, I believe, the only African country that has not been colonized. This is something that I've been told my whole life growing up, like, we've not been colonized, we are strong, we stick together, we have not been defeated, blah, blah, blah. If you ask any Habesha or Ethiopian out there, they'll probably tell you, yeah, we've never been colonized, woo. Oh, in Ethiopia, something that I've noticed is that guys are affectionate with each other in public. They hug each other, hold hands, just like, I just love seeing that because I feel like I noticed that guys here are a lot more like self-conscious about showing a little too much affection, you know, with their guy friends out of fear of being labeled as gay or something like that. But I just love how free guys are in Ethiopia. Even the way that they don't walk a certain way just to seem more manly, you know what I'm saying? And I just absolutely love that so much. I have 4 facts left. So the next one is that when I was in Ethiopia, I noticed that first of all, they don't consider themselves black. I've known this for like many years, but it's really shocking that Ethiopians, well, the ones in Ethiopia, they don't consider themselves black. Like, they consider people from like West Africa black. In a conversation, if they're gonna mention somebody who's black, they would say like "Tukurso," like "Tukurso" amongst each other. That's just like what they say. I understand that like our traits are not the typical traits for like West African, but it doesn't mean that we're not black. I personally consider myself black. Even when I'm in Ethiopia and I say that I'm black, but they're like, no, you're not black, you are Ethiopian. I'm like, why? Why do we have to distinguish ourselves like that? Like, we are black. And I've also noticed that in Ethiopia, for the different skin tones, like there's a name for each one. Like, I'm considered red, so I'm A because I'm light skinned. And for those who are darker, I don't really remember the different names, but my aunt was telling me, she's like, your dad, because my dad is darker, she's like, your dad is this, and I was like, aren't we all black? And she's like,
no, aren't you Getan?
And I was like, oh, interesting. In Montreal, there's like so much diversity, and because of that, we kind of need to distinguish ourselves and be like, you're considered black, you're white, you're this, you're whatever, okay? But in Ethiopia, you wouldn't think that that's the case because everybody's Ethiopian, but no. I don't know, it's interesting, but yeah, it is what it is. Oh, okay, so maybe you've noticed me say Habesha throughout this video, or just like on social media, sometimes I say Habesha, but I consider myself Ethiopian. The term Habesha is just something that Eritreans even call themselves. We're just Habesha. It's very general, and I would rather call myself something more specific like Ethiopian, because I'm from Ethiopia. I'm not from Habesh, like I'm from Ethiopia. But if you ever hear any Ethiopian or Eritrean call themselves Habesha, it's just like what we call ourselves, I guess. The before last fact is that many Habesha immigrants don't know or have a hard time like remembering how old they are if they've lived outside of the country for many years now, because there's a reason for that. I'm sure if you're part of an Ethiopian family, you probably noticed that, and you probably think like, gosh, like how do you not remember your age? Like, why is it that so many Ethiopians don't know their ages? It's not because they're just so forgetful or they don't care. Generally, it's because when they left, they had to lie about their age, and maybe for many years they had to stick with that age that they had written down on the documents, but then years later it's like, wait, what year was I actually born in? And it kind of gets confusing. So that can be an explanation for that. That's something I've noticed. And the last fact is that Ethiopians do not celebrate Halloween. Like, sorry about that, my camera kind of shifted. I mentioned Halloween to my aunt and she's just like, and I was like, oh, forget it. But yeah, Halloween is not celebrated in Ethiopia. It's just not a known like celebration. Maybe they've heard about it outside, but it's just like not celebrated at all. So this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something new today. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If there's anything new that you've learned in this video, please let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in my next video.